My name is Ludmila York-Duncan, and I am a mother of one girl, and I'm here to talk about my journey with my daughter Emma. In 2013, I had my first daughter Astrid, and in 2015, I had my second daughter Emma. Now, Emma was born at the St. Martin Medical Center. She was fine. I don't think that she came out crying, but she was a very special baby, and there was something about her. She had these huge, big eyes, and she was really special. Now, about 2 weeks after her birth, she started coughing. We thought that it was just a cold that maybe her sister had passed on to her, but then the cough wouldn't go, so we took her to the hospital. At first they thought that maybe it was asthma or bronchiolitis. Actually, that was the first diagnosis, but we went home. We also carried her to the friend's side as well, and they thought that it could be the same thing. Now, what I noticed is that when I would breastfeed her, she would sweat a lot while drinking, and she would fall asleep after eating. But in general, she was a very good baby. I had no problems with her. I thought that she was just getting tired, but sooner or later we realized that her breathing was off. We went back to the hospital, and an x-ray was taken of her heart. About a couple of months later, we saw that her heart was bigger than it was supposed to be, and her file was sent to Curacao to the only pediatric cardiologist in the Dutch Caribbean, and we were flown to Curacao to get tested, and the doctor there thought that it was a regular sort of cardiomyopathy, that she just had a enlarged heart. However, there was something that told her to send Emma's her echo. The doctor thought that it was good to send Emma's echo to some professors in the Netherlands who would take a second look at them, and those professors called us and told us that we had to come to the Netherlands right away because she needed surgery. What Emma had was a rare heart disease called Al-Kappa, basically a valve that is supposed to be connected to one part of her heart was connected to another part, and so it's basically a defect that many people don't realize until it's too late. We went to the Netherlands when she was about 4 months old, and she had her first heart operation. We noticed after a couple of months that she wasn't recovering, and so she had a second heart operation. We really thought that we would be home after about 6 months, but the doctor soon told us that something was extremely wrong. The operations did not correct the valve, and we would probably have to move permanently to Holland in order to work on her heart. It was extremely difficult for my family because I did not want to move to the Netherlands. I had my older daughter Astrid as well to take care of, and my husband was working. What we decided to do was separate the family. So my husband and my daughter would stay on St. Martin but would fly up for a couple of months at a time and go back down, while I stayed permanently in Holland with Emma, going through everything that she went through. You know, for me, I couldn't leave her behind. I had a duty and a responsibility to be by her side and to fight alongside with her. One of the things that helped me a lot was speaking to other parents who were also experiencing the same thing. I found a support group on Facebook, and I actually got in contact with a Dutch mother who had a daughter as well a couple of years earlier who also experienced the same operation. So she was my support, because at the end of the day, if you're not around people that understand exactly what you're going through, it's difficult. It's extremely difficult. So Emma, one of the things that I learned was that you can't ever give up. And as a mother, there is something inside of you that tells you that something is wrong, or that you need to do something. I remember sitting with the doctors after about 8 months, and them telling me that she probably won't make it. She was on a ECMO machine, and there was no hope for her. And I told them I didn't feel like it was over. I felt like God still had a little bit of life in her, and so I was going to fight for as long as possible. We moved from Leiden to Rotterdam to the Children's Hospital, where she eventually recovered, but she had to go on a heart transplant list. So she started to grow, and she was doing really well. However, her blood, because of her heart problems, needed to remain as thin as possible so that it wouldn't clot. But one day there was an issue with the medication, and she got a stroke on her right side. She had her third operation right after her first birthday in Rotterdam, and although they removed the blood clot from her brain, she never really fully recovered. Emma was such a strong girl. She was such a strong girl. She had been through so much, but she was honestly the most bubbly child in the hospital. Everybody loved her. Sometimes she was also the only black child in the ward, and the nurses were so crazy about her curly hair, and her spirit was incredible. And it was amazing to me that she could go through so much. She had 2 very heavy heart surgeries. She had a stroke, but her spirit was always very lively, and that kept me going, because I would spend almost 8 to 10 hours in the hospital every day. But she kept me going, and that's something that I will always be proud of her with. I'm proud of her for. We would always waiting for a heart is an incredible experience. I realized how small the Netherlands was once we got on a heart transplant list and understood that it was a European transplant list. So Emma was basically in competition with children all over Europe, waiting for a heart that would match her blood type, match her size. So it was extremely difficult being at home at night sometimes and waiting and hearing the phone ring and thinking that it was the hospital calling and saying that they got a heart, but that never happened. The call never came. After about a year and 4 months, Emma got an infection in her heart, and it started to spread pretty quickly. The doctor said that they had never experienced anything like it, and they doubted that she would survive much longer. Every time they told me that it was the end, I told them that I didn't feel like it was the end, and she would just get better again and keep on going, and we would keep on going. My family would come up. It was difficult because I felt guilty as a mother. I had my other daughter that I couldn't give as much attention to. When she would come up and spend time with me, she would be in Dutch daycare centers for most of the day, and then she would come and spend time with her sister. It was very difficult to be in that situation, but I kept going. Why? Because Emma kept me going. I didn't have a choice. And she deserved the best that I could give her, because I knew that she was doing her best as well. About 14 or 15 months in, her infection spread, and I saw that her spirit was starting to dim, and I realized that this was the end. You know, there was something in me that said that the journey is coming to an end, and we had fought really good and hard, but she was only meant to be here for a very short time. to teach my family lessons about strength and love and perseverance. And so on the last night, I knew that it was the end, and I was there with her. So I was happy to experience her birth and her death as her mother. And I knew that she would always be with us, and that her journey was one of strength. Within a couple of days, we were all on a plane, and we came home, and we buried her. And it's been quite a struggle since her passing, but the family continues to gather strength through each other, and just trying to remember the good times that we had with Emma. One of the most interesting things for me is that at the cul-de-sac cemetery, there was a special section lined out for children, and Emma was the first grave there. And I remember visiting her grave, let's say 3 months later, and seeing a new grave there. So that means that a baby died right after her. And I don't go to her grave often anymore because I know she's not there. But when I do go every so often, I realize that there are more and more graves there. And so I always think that there are more mothers that are going through what I am going through, losing very small babies and probably having a difficult time. And this is why these stories are so important, because I think we all need to know that we're not alone, and somehow we need to connect to each other to be there for each other, because unless you've gone through such an experience, it's impossible that you can understand. I am doing much better now. It's been almost 2 years since Emma passed away. It was extremely tough. I definitely fought depression, and when I thought that I had gotten over my grief, it hit me. It hit me so hard that I thought I needed to start a new life. And I remember speaking to a friend of mine that told me that a father had said that losing a child is like walking into a city that has just been bombed. The bricks are everywhere. Your entire life has changed, and you need to build back brick by brick, piece by piece, and that is how I feel right now. But I am building back my life, and there are pictures of my daughter everywhere because I don't want to forget her. And my family and I do what we can to remember her and so forth, but it's still very difficult. I think about her every day, and I know I'll always think about her. But if I had the strength to get me through her journey, and if I remember her strength, I have to continue on with life and to be there for my daughter and the rest of my family.